It's Friday, May 8th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. There's been a substantial increase in the number of persons seeking assistance from the Salvation Army. Divisional Commander Major Darrell Wilkinson tells Barbados Today the organization moved from serving 20 to 200 people on a weekly basis, and he believed the sharp increase was due to the large numbers of people who are now unemployed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the Salvation Army had been able to meet the high demand thanks to help from the Rotary Club of Barbados and the Mormon Church.
We have the Rotary Club, make a partnership with the Rotary Club, who provides us 200 parcels every 2 weeks or so. Right? And plus we have some of our own as well, because we've got a few businesses to give us the food stuff, so we put parcels as well. Also, we have the Latter-day Saints that come on board as well, and they give us some parcels as well, so support that. So at least the food, there are more now than we accustomed to having anyway. So I would roughly say 200 a week, to be square. Right? So we're accustomed to giving 15, 20 a week.
Major Wilkinson admitted that fulfilling the needs of the increased numbers was challenging, but he said the Salvation Army would continue to provide hampers as long as it had the resources.
Yeah, it was because what makes it better for us is that these things come already packaged and already in bags already, boxes. Those from the Rotary Club, the COVID-19 committee. Comes already boxed off, so we don't have to pack and do. All we have to do is deliver them. And the same thing with the Latter-day Saints. They come already in bags, right? So backed off, so we just give the bag as they are. So that makes it easier for us. Okay. If you had a parcel number, that will be a bigger operation. As long as we get the food stuff, persons will come. When there's no more food stuff, then that will go. But the thing is, we are looking for. I think the Rotary Club had a 6 to 8 weeks planning for this to continue this kind of service. So it's quite possible. All depends on what happens in the next couple of weeks when the government decides to kind of reopen things for the country fully. But they're going to change, so it all depends on that.
Attorneys in the unfair dismissal case brought against Chefette Restaurants Limited by a former employee have been reacting to yesterday's Caribbean Court of Justice decision on the matter. Legal counsel Gregory Nichols, who represented Orlando Harris in association with attorneys Kashka Motley and Dimitri Adams, tells Barbados Today the CCJ cleared his client's name and agreed that he had been unfairly dismissed by the company. Nichols, however, described the decision as a bittersweet moment for Harris, as compensation, which was first awarded by the Employment Rights Tribunal in 2016, had been substantially reduced. Meantime, attorneys for Chefette, Sachka Kisoon and Benjamin Drakes have welcomed the judgment. Kisoon tells Barbados Today the CCJ's decision was in line with what his client wanted.
We're very pleased with the decision. It actually reflects exactly what we hope to achieve in bringing the appeal to the CCJ. Our primary objective was to stabilize the position and to get an understanding of what the area is in relation to damages, and that has been clarified. Our position has been that the awards given by the tribunal are larger than should be allowed. The CCJ characterized it as a strikingly large award, and they have agreed with us, with Chefette, that the approach taken by the tribunal is incorrect, that the issue that needs to be considered is not this compensation for lost wages, but rather benefits that an employee has been able to prove in evidence that he has not been able to get. We're very pleased with the decision. It does change the law in Barbados, and it's going to provide exceptional guidance to employers and employees alike in relation to this area.
Caribbean leaders are contemplating a region-wide policy aimed at reopening airports and hotels for intra-regional travel, along with passengers from selected international countries. During Tuesday's 10th Special Emergency Meeting of Caricom heads, leaders established a subcommittee led by St. Lucian Prime Minister Alan Chasney to discuss the proposed reopening, with tourism stakeholders, including hoteliers, airlines, cruise operators, and labor unions. But Barbados' ambassador to the 15-member grouping, David COMISSIONG, has assured that a final decision will only be made after extensive discussions between public health experts and leaders.
We know that COVID-19, from all that the medical experts are telling us, is going to be around for some time, quite some time. So we are going to have to work out. Efficient ways for being able to reopen. We will have to work out protocols of operation that allow us to restart airline travel within the region and between the region and the outside world without compromising or endangering the public health of our countries. So that's where the technical work comes in.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Regional developments now. The Jamaica government places several areas in the parish of St. Mary under quarantine as the country deals with the COVID-19 outbreak that has so far infected 478 people. The areas include Dover, Enfield, and Anoto Bay. Those communities will be under lockdown for 14 days. Meantime, stay-at-home orders implemented to control the spread of the coronavirus are seemingly having an impact on testing. More in this report from Television Jamaica.
The government has been telling people to stay at home since the COVID-19 outbreak in March, and it appears the effectiveness of that messaging is having unintended consequences in the fight against the coronavirus disease.
Because of the stay-at-home policy, what we have been finding is that there have been decreased visits to our health centers and, as a matter of fact, to our hospitals. As a matter of fact, I think that we are seeing probably maybe about 50% in some instances fall in the number of visits to health centers and to hospitals. As a consequence of this, we are getting less cases of respiratory illnesses that are presenting to hospital, especially the mild cases who may be staying at home.
Dr. Bisesa Mackenzie says the testing protocol for COVID-19 was designed to pick up the most cases from where they are likely to come. That is from persons who are contacts of confirmed cases or persons with respiratory illnesses, as well as through surveillance programs across the island. To overcome the challenges the stay-at-home order is having on that work, the Chief Medical Officer says a concerted effort is being made to get those persons tested by asking them to make contact on the JAM COVID website to make appointments for testing.
And finally, at least 11 people have been killed by a massive gas leak at a chemical plant in southern India, and hundreds more were taken to hospital. More in this report from Al Jazeera.
Panic and chaos in India's southern city of Visakhapatnam as people living in an industrial area began losing consciousness. That's after a gas leak at a plastics factory owned by South Korean company LG Chemicals. The leak happened early on Thursday morning when most people were asleep. The National Disaster Response Force evacuated at least 1,000 people from a 3-kilometer radius around the factory.
There were some people who were unconscious or semi-conscious. There were people who were not able to move. There were children, there were women, there were people who are elders. All of them were helped.
At least 800 were taken to hospital with breathing difficulties and irritated skin. Police said that styrene gas leaked out of two 5,000-ton tanks, which had been left unattended as the factory was closed for 40 days during India's lockdown. They said that heat produced inside the tanks was released soon after the factory reopened. LG Chemicals confirmed the plant wasn't operating because of the lockdown, but said there were maintenance staff at the facility. Emergency workers said the leak was brought under control by midday.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.